Hello everyone and welcome to a new video on my channel. I'm Adam and today I got Battle of the Beasts All Generation episode number 25. Today I have two more beasts fighting each out for one spot in round 2 that only one of them can have. So with that out of the way, let's introduce these beasts. So representing Series 2, the Golden Armor, the last beast to actually compete in this tournament, well, to take part in it now, it's Trillian, the three-headed lion. And on the other side, representing Series 22, the Lost Beast of Mackay, the first beast to actually take part from this series, it's Menox, the saber-toothed terror. So, with this, both of these beasts I do like. One a tad bit more than the other, but I do not really know because I like both of them, and my opinion can change because I like both of them, like I said. Now, Menox, obviously, first one from his series to compete, so not really much I can say about his team doing, how his team is doing. Trillian, however, I can say that all of his teammates have competed, and Zephyr, Claw, Vipero, and Arachnid all perished. Sultra is the only one from his series that made it through. So we all know that Series 2 is a bit of a disadvantage now. But don't worry, maybe Trillian could beat Menox. I don't know. But what I don't know is, I do not know the stats. So, Lucas and Impus, please, can I have the stats, please?
Trillian, the three-headed lion. Trillian is armed with one tail for balance when jumping, running, and brains to plan his attacks, and 4 claws for movement to fighting, with claws that can slice through rocks and 90 teeth that can shatter bones. This is a mighty opponent. And now onto his stats. 3 heads and 3 sets of sharp fangs, sharp claws, fury thick hide, enhanced strength to fight off Tagus, and of course a combat style to overpower his enemy, makes him one deadly opponent in the tournament.
Menox, the saber-toothed terror. Anyone captured by the pirates of Mackay is at risk of being tossed into the pit to fight this gigantic rat, whose mangy fur gives off a terrible stench. His dagger-like tooth is as long as Tom's sword, and made of the same red metal as his cruel claws. So, you can be sure you're in for quite a surprise in this battle.
Okay, now that we're back, hello everyone, and now we're going to go to their weaknesses. So we're going to start things off with Trillian. His weaknesses consist of a water weakness because of his mains, 3 mains. He can be waterlogged very easily and just drown. He also has breakable teeth because they got shattered by the golden armor, which is a durable material. Menox's one and only weakness is that he's very short-tempered. So when he's angry, he can blindly be lashing out. So my assumption of when I first read this book of why is a beast weak to fire be there. Turns out he's not weak to fire. He just died in a fiery inferno. Because, well, of his short temper, he got tricks into going in there. So with that, that's their weaknesses. So, Trillian versus Menox. I don't really know which one to root for, but what I do know is Battlefield will be a plain, rocky terrain. And that's because they're both fought in either plain or rocky terrain area. So with that, plain, rocky terrain. But, with that being said, let's get into the battle.
3, 2, 1!
So, as both the chamber doors open, Trillian bounds out towards the centre of the arena, and with all 3 heads just looking around menacingly. Menox takes some steps out and just emerges from the darkness. Trillian spots him almost instantly and growls in aggression and intimidation. Menox doesn't even flinch. He instead comes completely out, and using his claws, he drags them along the ground as he goes. Just dragging them slowly and painfully. Trillion goes to one side of the arena and starts making his way around Menox, whilst Menox makes his way to the centre of the arena. And right when Trillion is where Menox is on the side where Menox came out of, he charges up towards Menox and goes to jump and bite and scratch at him. Menox saw that coming though, and using his whip, he just wraps his tail around Trillion and chucks him aside, almost like he's a ragdoll. Trillion gets back up, growls in frustration, and charges back up towards Menox. Menox, using his claws, slashes towards Trillion, causing him to stop in his tracks before he gets caught in the claw crossfire. And Menox roars in aggression and intimidation to Trillion. However, Trillion, being full of pride, doesn't take that very kindly, and instead roars right back and goes to attack him again. This time preparing for the claw slash and jumping out of the way just in time, just to bite down on Menox's neck. All three heads biting on his neck. Menox roars in frustration, and using his one of his claws, he grabs Trillion by the waist, sticking his nails in his side, and just dragging him, pulling him right off his neck and slamming him back into the ground. Menox then uses his tail, keeps Trillion secure by wrapping his tail around his neck and his paws, so then he can't try anything. Menox tightens his grip around around Trillion's neck, causing them to start suffocating. And Menox, using his claws, he decides he's going to play a little bit of a game. So he takes one claw from each hand and sticks them in 2 of the 6 Trillion eyes. One on the left head, one on the right head. And just starts dragging them backwards, going towards the main. Trillion, roaring in aggression and pain, tries to fight back, and but they can't because they seem to be banded down. Menox does this with the other eyes on the same heads and blinding them almost immediately, causing blood to spew out their eyes. Only 1 Trillion head can actually see now, and what Menox does with that one is that, using his red steel fang that he has on his mouth, he bites down on that Trillion head, and the fang goes right through his skull, coming out of his jaw from the top to the bottom. That Trillion head flops dead. The other Trillion heads are still roaring in pain but can't see. And Menox thinks he should give them a chance, so he releases his grip on them. And using the back of his claw, he just smacks them aside, so then they go to the other side of the arena. And then he waits for them to get back up, only to scurry up towards them, and then using his claws, he slashes at their necks, slicing their manes, and cutting the bottom of their necks as well. Trillion leans down towards the ground, gasping for air, trying to stop the bleeding, but is failing. And Menox, just to make sure the job is finished, he bites down on Trillion's back with his red steel fang and pierces his body completely. Trillion is somehow still standing, but just to finish the job, what Menox does is that he pins the Trillion heads down on the ground, and using his claws on each of the remaining heads that are still alive, he digs all his claws in there and twists their heads, so then their neck snaps. Menox gets back up and makes his way to his chamber, covered in the blood of Trillion. So with that, Menox has won, Trillion has lost. If you think Trillion should have won, please leave in the comments below why you think that. However, my word's final, and Menox is moving on to the next round. Yeah, the reason why I gave Menox the victory is because there's a massive size difference between Trillion and Menox. And if there isn't, then I've done something wrong. But I'm pretty sure there is. I just need to check the Holy Bible for this. So we will... but also the fact that the Red Steel Fang that's on Menox is also another key component to why I gave Menox the victory. So Trillion size is 115. And Menox's size is 189. So, yes, whilst Menox is larger, admittedly, a bit smaller of a gap than I thought it would be, but I stand by what I say. Menox is moving on to the next round. But with that being said, that's all for this time. If you like what you saw, leave a like, leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe, press the little notification bell down in the corner below, and I'll see you next time.